Hey, this is Max Alper, aka Parrotsky, and you are listening to Group Critique Fight Club. Some dark wizard music to start us off. Karim, that shit I was telling you about. That was Stephen O'Malley and Zev. Longtime New York City, no wave New York industrial percussionist Zev. Z''EV. For the heads out there. I believe he is no longer on this earth, Zev. But album of him collaborating with Stephen O'Malley of Sun in the studio, in which Zev would do his thing, playing found objects, percussion, all sorts of trash cans and fun times, and O'Malley would chop it and screw it and chop it again and screw it again. Some of the titles of that album include tracks called... That last one we were just listening to is 6 minutes and 7 seconds from 36 seconds from 6 minutes and 53 seconds. The 7 minute, 27 second, 34 track submix. So we're going from the final track is 6 minutes and 7 seconds, but it came originally then from a 36 second clip, which then itself spurred from a 6 minute and 53 second clip, which before that spurred from a 7 minute and 27 second 34 track mix. So expanding, contracting. The power of granular. Beautiful. Yes, love a track title that's a manual, exactly. I mean, it feels very New York, feels very Lamont Young in that the track titles, the composition titles are strictly cataloged by literally what they are. And, it would be that much more Lamont to include the date and time in which the original recordings took place and where they were recorded. Make a true catalog of your repertoire. Hello, everyone. Hope we're doing well. We missed out on Monday stream last week. The cat is doing well. Jojo the king will live 1,000 years in his kingdom. He's doing good, so I appreciate y'all's patience with me on that. But we're here, we're hanging and banging for February 2026, beginning our archive of tracks for the month. Once again, hosted by our good friends at Tape Trade. Everybody, sign up for Tape Trade, y'all. Do yourselves a favor. Many thanks to them for the support. Tape Trade provides storage, sharing, and playback for mixes, masters, demos, and beats without any ads or AI scraping. Sign up with the link in the show notes when I post this to the pod channel afterwards, and you will get 2 weeks for free. We build in a niche little subculture of mixes on their Tape Trade. And sooner rather than later, we're going to get ourselves a shared with you tab function so that we can begin collecting each other's works on there and sharing them and keeping track of it all. So shout outs to the Tape Traders for helping us out with this channel. And many thanks to you all for hanging out on a Monday evening. Remember, we also meet on Sundays over on the Patreon feed, patreon.com/Parrotsky, where we have also for the end of this month, via the Discord, our February monthly project with our good friend, Pulitzer Prize winner, Raven Chacon. I just love to be able to name drop that. Our first Pulitzer winner hanging out on Group Critique Fight Club for our monthly project for February, which will be due at the end of the month. I believe the 24th? No? Is that correct? I don't know. We have a lot of participants on that one, which is sick. 23rd, on the 23rd. So in exactly 4 weeks, or 3 weeks rather, we will be presenting our projects. We have 18 participants signed up for this month. So by far our biggest project yet. And it looks like I'm getting y'all motivated working in pairs. For those that don't know the project, we're calling it Score Partners is the name of the project. I'll just read off for you what we're doing. For this month's project, we're going to experiment in alternative means of music notation. This can include, but is not limited to, graphics, text, score, interactive, or sculptural notation of a work of performed music or sound. For those unfamiliar, alternative means of notation have been a key feature for avant-garde music composition since the early 20th century, ranging from Dadaist sound poetry to Xenakisian matrices to communal deep listening prompts accessible to performers of all levels and expertise, which feels very meta because this prompt is in fact a deep listening prompt. But you know, I love me some text scores. If you haven't figured that out, that's my alternative notation style. Since many alternative notation styles can be interpreted in a number of different ways, you should choose a style that best fits the sound you seek to hear, i.e., if you seek something specific, notate it explicitly through text and symbolism, or etc., etc. You know, if you want something to be in the key of E minor, write that, is what I'm saying. You know, if you need something literal, you imagine it literal, be literal in your descriptor, however that may be. You are to work in pairs, so this is why I feel like y'all are stoked about this, because we have a buddy system for once. Buddies. You are working in pairs with a fellow group critique participant, and you will compose a score through alternative means of notation specifically for your partner to perform while they do the same for you. So you got to be the performer of someone else's work, someone writing a piece for you, and you also have to write a piece for that person. Each pair of participants should then record their performances ahead of time and submit both their scores and their recordings for group critique. And like I said, we are thrilled to have Pulitzer Prize winning composer and artist Raven Chacon joining us as co-facilitator of this live critique. So this session is not to be missed. Though I really don't know how much critique we're going to be able to get to with all these pieces you're making. So, you know, more power to you. But we might have to do some real quick notes in between. But yeah, it is a battle royale. Absolutely. So I don't want to stave anybody off from getting involved. By all means, submit to the project. You know, at a certain point, we're going to have to cut it off on the air. I can't hold Raven hostage for 3 hours. He's not like last month, like Lawrence English was so down and willing to chat and go deep with all of our pieces, and it ended up being 2.5 hours. We'll probably have to cut most of the interview segment with Raven, but oh well. Look him up. He's got a Wikipedia page. He's won a whole bunch of amazing awards and writes some crazy-ass music for anything from full orchestra, choir, like Voiceless Mass, his most recent record, to various, let's call them extended technique instruments, such as an ensemble of firearms, you know, his piece Report, very famous piece for, I believe, 6 to 8 people with guns. So, you know, make of that as you will. And he's also a true noise lifer that still is down to clown when it comes to playing some basement shows for 5 people and selling tapes, you know? Keep it real. Never lose track of your roots, you know? Never forget where you came from. Keep it real. Raven Chacon showing us so we can keep it real and be some success in the establishment. Yes. So get on that if you haven't joined that. All right. Good shit. On with the show. Let's listen to some fucking tunes, shall we? We got ourselves 5 for today. Perfect amount. of tracks to listen to, and I am looking forward to hearing them, starting with Kuku with the Dodecahedron scheme is the name of the piece. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a shape. It's a big old shape, right? You had written, in this economy, pyramid schemes are not cutting it anymore. We need to go dodecahedron. Dodecahedron. Someone spell it out pronunciation-wise in the chat. I don't want to embarrass myself. Or maybe I'll look it up. Dodecahedron. Are we going to have a way to hear it? Hold on. Dodecahedron. Dodecahedron. I want to hear what Wikipedia says. How do I play the dang word? Come on, man. You're supposed to have it in fucking, damn it. Dodecahedron. Dodecahedron. All right. Wikipedia, you have failed me. I was waiting for a robot to speak it for me. Oh yeah, Google Translate. You right. Google Translate. Everyone's telling me how to use the internet. It's awesome. But it's in Dutch. What? Hold on. We need Grokpedia. That's right. That's right. Hold on. Nope. Nope. Now I don't know how to spell it. I'm embarrassing myself in front of you guys. Dodecahedron. 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 Dodecahedron scheme by Kuku. Dodecahedron. Jesus Christ. Let's hear it, and we'll look up what it looks like. Goodness gracious, man. Get this man a record deal with Hessel Audio as soon as possible. This is pure rhythm study. This is pure rhythm analysis going on here. Yes, geometric. Certainly dodecahedronic. I'm curious as to the title and, obviously relation to a specific type of polygon. Was that included here somehow as far as the amount of sides to the shape of this? Was there a specific reference in mind? If I was to go, what exactly, how many sides does that have? 100, right? Polyhedron with 12 flat. Oh, okay, with 12, 100. What the fuck am I talking about? Was there 12 involved in this? I didn't have any idea for a title, and I find pyramid schemes funny. So this is the dodecahedron scheme. In that way, we are dealing with some lovely with some lovely polyrhythms going on here. But this is my shit. When we're getting into, a rhythm analyst work, a true study of rhythm, in which everything does its own thing in its own trajectory. We're able to, true classic techno form, find a single path as our lead groove. Despite us being in 4, we could hear this in many different ways, including varying degrees of 3, which, why a 12-sided polygon, 12 flat sides works quite well for this, even if you didn't intend it to be that, because we're working in 4s and 3s without a doubt. And, works really well paired, obviously, with a separate tool track, a separate drum track, as far as techno blending goes. You're right in the techno range, and we could hear the implied underneath, but it works fine on its own as this, varying degrees of splinterings of 4s and 3s and 8s and 6s. And when the changes occur, they're like, again, true techno fashion. It's like, obviously this was a quick one. It's only 3 minutes. If I were you could double in scale every section of this, make it twice as long, make it exactly 6 minutes, and you would have like a true full length, appropriately lengthed techno track, without really needing to do anything. It's my only thought here. I know that you were doing it quickly here, but it came off too quickly. You left us too quickly, and I know you're doing things for brevity, for the sake of showing it on the air here, keeping it under 5 minutes. But for real, like a 6-minute version would be more than right as rain with that. You're right. And I was listening to Blauwan and Karim today and thinking, damn, techno is good business. I wish I'd be into making it. This is this is techno though. You know what I mean? Highly recommend checking out DeForest Brown Jr.'s music. He is mostly known as an author. But his project under the name Speaker Music is very much in this world where it's it's all the elements, varying degrees of polyrhythm and trance, and finding little paths to take while keeping it within a 140-ish tempo, but not necessarily like giving us just straight 4 to the floor. And it's still techno. You know what I mean? It's still techno. It's technical, but I mean, we could be in this world without strictly doing 4 to the floor. You know what I mean? I would consider a lot of the stuff on Hessel Audio, especially like Pearson's sound, like that. He's one of my favorites on Hessel. He doesn't really do 4 to the floor like that. It's way more like true drums music, true like towards like the like a drummer will appreciate this. You know, polyrhythm's always a great way to get everybody, to cast a wider net. Because every time those little changes occur, when you opened up that pitched percussion, when we initially heard that clanking sound, we thought that was strictly percussion, and then you slowly opened up the envelope and we realized that it's a pitched instrument. And I was like, so nice. So yeah, the Hessel catalog by heart. Then you know what I'm talking about, man. I'm sure some minimal or dub purist will tell me that I'm wrong, and that's not, if it's not 4 to the floor, it's not techno, whatever, it's this or that. I don't give a shit, man. It works quite well in that zone, especially when mixing it. Highly recommend y'all download this off the Discord directly and put it in your mix. Put it in the damn mix. Why would you be a purist about dub? Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, a purist in the sense that there needs to be delay and feedback, I guess. I guess that's like what makes it dub, is the usage of delay, and pretty much anything else is on the table. No? It's not a very dry genre. It is the dirty genre. Cry about it. Okay, fine, I will. Good. Good shit. Thank you, Kuku. They say dub, though. This is dry music. It's not minimal. It's cuckoo. It's cuckoo techno. Create your own subgenre. All right. I'm downloading that one for later. Certified Hood Classic. What we got? Breathplay is up. This is a track from the anonymous Berlin label Knowone versus a few looped bars from Todd Edwards' Wishing I Were Home. It showcases one of my most natural blending skills, squeezing and dubbing tracks until they hover around the edge of your perception, like hearing something in the corner of your ear. I want opinions about the legibility of this gesture. I love it, but it's definitely too subtle for any sound system they'll let me near, yet maybe also too autopilot feeling for a headphone mix. Oh no. The identity crisis of the blend. Which way? Let's go. Hell yeah. If the last track was a study of dry rhythm, then this one was a study in wetness. Not to be confused with Karim's wet music, but certainly on of the dub variety, letting the triplet delay feedback do most of the talking. I would consider that our lead instrument in this arrangement over the instrumental loop. I'm assuming the delayed track itself was the Todd Edwards "Wishing I Were Home," and the Knowone track is the instrumental full dry minimal track underneath. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that this would translate in a on a sound system to some extent, you know? Like, the only thing that I feel like makes this more headphone friendly is the attention to you know, the smallness of the delay, the little creeping, like you said, peripheral that you know, with the cans that I'm wearing, you know, like required, you know, like I'm really deeply listening to this. I'm deep listening to this. Was less prone to movement. I mean, it's a slower one. It's, you know, ambient techno, I guess, just by the instrumental of the Knowone track. Just, you know, like very nice, pretty repetitive chords underneath there. Not necessarily like energizing me. The way that some other harder stuff goes, but I mean, like, which is why I've am more leaning towards the headphone mix as a, you know, an outlet for something like this, because like then you can get even more detailed in the stereo image of the wet track. I mean, I hear you're doing some panning on this too, but like I'm imagining an even more exaggerated like toying of, did I really hear that all the way over here? You know, it's really starting to come in here, but then disappears. Then maybe it's like, you know, this peripheral idea could be taken to an even further, more detailed surgical extent of, you know, writing the levels and where they occur, you know, and this could also be something you could easily automate through some sort of randomization as well, to like really have fun with it, as far as like, you know, an amplitude LFO on that channel, if you can, you know, get the stem of just that, and you know, as a mix for this, you know, and you know, to be able to, you know, bring it in and out, depending, you know, also doing it by hand also works really well, you know, as a live blend here, but just imagining it like as an at home listen, like even more attention to detail could be given to that nuance of periphery, both as far as the level and the stereo imaging of it, you know, where it is in the pan at a given time, you know, if it's in motion or not. You wrote, my budget ass CDJ has 0 stereo controls, but I can draw it out from the mix master job I do for headphone mixes. It doesn't even have a pan? Really? That's crazy. Josh writes, this actually reminds me, y'all need to see the new movie Sirat as soon as possible. The music isn't as ambient as Breathplay, but a lot of minimal techno trance with a lot of grit in it. Good to know. Sirat. Send a link for the trailer to that. Interesting. They don't have pan controls on the basic Pioneer controller. That's wild. I mean, I guess most normies aren't really fucking with it like that, you know, but we aren't them. So yeah, as a post production mix down, rather than a live mix down, to go even further in the the periphery idea, I think would make for that much more of an enhanced at home experience. It's music for headphones. The opposite of acousmatic music, where you're writing specifically for sound systems, and that you are writing specifically for like over ears, high quality cans that could really pick up the smallness that I'm talking about here. True home listening, home stereo music, where you can really dive in with that. Serato is a good movie. That's right. The movie, you can watch it in STEM mode when you go to the theater. You can put it in regular surround sound, or you can put it in STEM mode when you watch it. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Little goof and a spoof on a Monday night. Love us for that. Yo, I am excited for 2026 for the Breathplay project. You've been locked in, you've been working your way up, you're slowly getting yourself out there, and that goes for everybody here. Don't allow yourself to strictly be the studio practitioner. When you can, enter your scene, large or small. Start small. If even as a DJ making experimental works, you can find your people in DIY. We're doing this for the love first and foremost. So if you're going out there looking to just find the highest paying shit off the bat, you will fail. But if you go out there doing this as just creeping your way into the public eye with a new project, I guarantee you will find your people. Yo, bro, you have no idea. I'm hoping to make moves. Make moves, trademark. Put the TM after that. Yo, for real. You gotta be making moves with this shit. This is lovely stuff. I'm booking at venues where I'm at now. We should honestly plan for a Group Critique Fight Club IRL showcase out here. I think that would be really fun to do a fucking meetup in Hudson Valley where we can all do a fucking massive B2B or something like that. More to come on that. But it's a thought that I've had. I think that would be really fun. Kuku, you've been going to a lot of local noise gigs. Kuku, you out in Polski, bro? You gotta get me out there, man. I gotta go do my fucking dual citizenship. I qualify. I need to own property or something, or live there for half the year. But I'm coming to play the local noise gigs where you are, bro. Get me on the flight. Fly me out. I'm coming through. But yeah, we can also do local noise gigs where we are as well. We don't have to go to Kuku. We could, but you should start local. Thank you, Breathplay. Always a pleasure. Keep making fucking moves. Let's hear a new version of that. Enhanced headphone mixed. Good shit. All right. Who we got up next? Pazu is back. Pazu wrote for us. This one is from an upcoming album. This tune made it out of draft mode. Pretty much complete. Other tunes still need some work. All right. We getting a taste for it right now. Pazu with Eve Dataspace 2.
Yeah, I'm running out of space. All my chips was filling up, couldn't even feed the snake. Tried to swap the disc and risk my shit crashing in my face. Man, forget, fuck around and found some shit I could replace. Got a MacBook, cracked the lid and dipped to cyberspace. Surfed the web and shit, hanging 10 off a curly brace. Hanging out in office buildings, making music on my break. Scratch the itch, nerdy rap on Christmas beat, but this shit banks. Got a business in Texas, had to dip the state to hit the bank. Cashing out the bits, I gripped an automatic paper tape. Orchestrated and efficient, like some hackers taking aim. I'm just reeling in the fish, I pinched about the data lake in the mist. breathing in the piss, sweat steaming off the boilerplate, pushing out a kid, what it feels like, giving birth to vibes I couldn't shake. Had to disconnect the cable just to structure what to say. What was missing? Extra blocks inside my data disk. Had to kick the habits that I hid. Took too many pics, now my phone is blowing up. Had to throw it in the ditch, bought a new one. Pixel perfect telephone, hooked up to the satellite. Call me if you feel alright, call me if you really in a private spot. I can speak my mind and whisper secrets to you day and night. Empty out the cache, CPU was maxed. I was burning all my bands and bricks. What's the width? Measure out the space so I can come and sing. I don't upload my shit to the cloud, I'm crazier than you think. It's a risk, fingerprint your face and dick and click delete. I would rather build a system out of scattered bits and pieces. I would rather eat a motherboard than ride another cheat. I would rather reinvent the wheel than buy another chip. Cause soon enough we'll make the circuit breakers out of you and me.
Yo. Yo. Karim, you are absolutely right. Pazu is Skrilla adjacent in a complementary sense. Yes. This is the new flow. That's what I'm saying. It's not just Philadelphia drill. This new drill flow of doing this like deconstructed instrumentation, right? Like this beat is so deconstructed. We even call this a beat, but rather a set of sequences with very minimal changes occurring. And then the flow on top of it is this like intentional drawl, this intentional pocket that is neither rushing nor dragging. We're like like it's like the casualness of cadence in this is such a nice juxtaposition, and we've heard this, you know, throughout the 2020s, as far as like, you know, this particular type of online drill flow that's, you know, it's not regional. There are different versions of it regionally, but like I'm hearing it in a few different spots, and it's just such a nice juxtaposition compared to, like, you know, the rigidness, let's say. It's so funny, like, viewing like early drill, like Chicago drill, as like a rigid, more aligned with like the syncopated trap rhythms. You know, it's like on as far as like rhythmic cadence goes of flow. And I don't know the origins of whose stilo really like decided just to like send it through a bottle of lean or something, but like it is just, it's so different thinking about like the hip hop of my adult life, and even just like the history of drill, like the, you know, viewing it just like a big fucking nerd that I am, trying to like dictate the rhythm. It's just fascinating. And Karim obviously knows because I'm telling him, and they're in fucking Philly, just like the Philly drill in particular, like it's not even like halftime beats, it's quarter time beats. It's like fucking beat down hardcore where it's just breakdowns. Like, but this has that to a more absurd sense. Like the Philly drill has a darker, like, like ominous drone to a lot of it, but like this is absurd in a good way. Like this is silly in a good way. We're hearing this, we're hearing these like these pitch shifting portamentos occurring, like without necessarily a tonal center underneath this, just you know, just like, I mean, yes, Kuku's saying, like, I do be craving some kick and bass. This is mostly on the high end here. If we were to add the like truly making this drill, we would include that occasional, like every downbeat, just like in there, something blown out 808 in the low end on a very minimal tip. I fucking love this shit, Pazu. I'm curious if the whole record, because you've given us various styles in your hip hop as far as flow goes. I mean, we can rightly put you in an experimental category as a producer goes, like for your own instrumentals, but the flow shifts a bit. Just rhythmic cadence. I your vocal cadence, like your tone of voice, I love as this sort of like, again, casual, not a care in the world sort of sound to you, which I really, really love. But I'm curious if this is like a who started the casual flow? Who started the leaned out taba taba da, like I'm fascinated about this, and I'm such a voyeur because I'm not a participant in the creation of this culture, and it's just a style of music that I enjoy, but I don't go down the rabbit hole as much as I used to anymore. Can't keep up, that's a young man's game. So I'd be really curious, Pazu, on your record, like what's the rest of the flow sounding like? Is this the zone that we're staying in? It's really fucking nice. Boofpack Mookie was my greatest inspiration. Okay. Another one I gotta know about. It's a cross between cloud rap and scam rap. Boofpack Mookie and Jacob Rochester album was a big influence. Okay. All right. There we go. Some names I gotta look up. This is what it's all about. Snoop Dogg. Kuku's got jokes today. We gotta hand it to Kuku for the joke. Tupac Shakur, big influence on this sound for sure, man. In that it's hip hop. That's right. No, but this isn't mumble rap though. Like, you are enunciating very clearly. It's the flow. Now we're flipping it. That's a nice little juxtaposition there. Is that 2010s trap into drill was the peak mumble rap, but the rhythmic enunciation was tight. Don't know what the fuck you're saying though, right? Flip that with this, where we have a very loose mumbling flow. The rhythm is intentionally loose, intentionally dragging at times and rushing at other times, but the enunciation is real, and that goes for even the Philly shit. That goes for Skrilla, despite him actively being on and dealing fentanyl, like legitimately. It was despite leaning into the sound of opiate abuse. He enunciates. You know what I mean? Wordplay is important here. This is really... Baby Goyard was also a vocal inspiration. Okay. These are all the names. Boofpack Monday. Boofpack Mookie. Monday. Boofpack Mookie. Jacob Rochester. Baby Goyard. See, I'm a fucking noob, man. That's why I turn to you. Everybody else is my plug now. Genuinely. I enjoy that. When people ask, like, how do you discover music without an algorithm? It's talking to people. Right? It ain't fucking rocket science, dude. I truly don't understand people strictly finding their stuff through playlists. Auto recommendation, auto play. Boofpack Monday. That's what it is today. This is no longer Group Critique Fight Club. This is Boofpack Monday. Oh, man. Thank you, Pazu. Nothing but hits, man. Send the rest of the record. Let's hear that shit. All right, we got PV up at the building. I don't know if they're in the chat today. With no note, just a track. Moruk 15X. We're just going to have to figure it out. Yeah, that's right. It is whack. I do enjoy the pre-algorithmic social media, including YouTube, when it was just seemingly at random, the recommendations. You know, there did exist a pre-algorithmic, just archival feed of social media and things like YouTube, you know? Early 2010s was when that shift occurred, you know? So when people talk about, I miss the old internet, we don't even need to go as far back as the actual mid-2000s. We can go to the late 2000s, early 2010s and still be there. Anyways, Morok 15X Potvorrah. Quick one. Let's go. 2. I'm running that back. That was only a minute long. Oh, man. We getting some really nice short and sweet ones today, yo. This feels return to form Potvorrah in his melodic post cloud rap hip hop production voice. One of many voices of Potvorrah's vocabulary. Interesting choice of sample. I'm curious where it comes from. I'm assuming that's Ukrainian. I'm assuming that's some sort of pop sort of thing. It almost sounded like Bjork, though. Really nice short one on that. I could imagine this if we open this up for the sake of spitting, for the sake of rapping over it. You know, it's just like thinking about the form of this, because right now it's really just like the demonstration of the instrumental with the vocal sample, kind of like this is one long hook, right? You know, a nice arrangement of this could be, for the sake of spitting over it, if you wanted a more full-length instrumental, right, would be like going right, this would be the hook, right, but then to cut out the vocal sample, break it down to just like drums and bass potentially, and then halfway through that breakdown, bring back the chordal sort of polyphonic instruments, you know what I mean? Without the lead vocal melody of the da-da-da-da-da-da, you know, like cut that out, and you have yourself a nice little verse there where you're not like necessarily getting vocal on vocal stacking occurring between someone rapping and the vocal sample in there. And then bring the vocal sample back for the hook, you know? Bring it back to where we're at here, you know? It'd be a really easy way to arrange hip-hop instrumentals into a song structure, you know. Also, the classic filter sweep down. Give us only like low pass filter for the verse as well, you know, and that you don't even need to turn off. True Jay Dilla and Nujab's style of just filtering down for a verse and then opening up the filter for the hook. You know what I mean? Like, very easy way of arranging dynamics without necessarily changing anything in parts. But yeah, really, really strong, quick sort of track here. I'm only giving these suggestions here just because I think it's nice to think about this as its potential as a full length song and not strictly sort of a brief demonstration of sequences of looped materials. Because it could be more than that. You know what I'm saying? Strong stuff from Potvorrah. I'm assuming they're asleep right now. Potvorrah, when you listen back to this, let us know. Sample snitch on yourself. I want to hear the vocal sample, where it's from. Reveal to us your source materials, or don't. Some people truly are not sample snitchers. I gotta respect. I must respect. I must oblige. Thank you, PV. All right, playing us out today. We got us some Karim with AM Nest. Oh, this is the one I heard earlier from you, Karim. In our one-on-one private lessons, in which all of you can sign up for by going to parrotski.xyz, which I should change up here, by the way. Private instruction. How do I change that on the text? I should do that. Hold on. Let me switch that up at www.parrotski.xyz. Boom. Change that for y'all. I'll even put that in the corner over here. Wow. Look at that. Some of you imbibe on that one-on-one with me. And Karim is one of them. And you have something for us. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to say in the chat? Setting the stage for us, or should we just get into it? Let me cue it up here. All this to say is this is certainly, having heard this already, a continuation of the wet music, expansion of the wet music archive into newer frontiers. Okay, you wrote, one thing I guess I'll say per our lesson today, environmental music. Yes. Yes. Environmental music. Not ambient. Ambiente. Let's go. Absolutely lovely. And yeah, what Breathplay said, the Kankyo Ganku compilation of environmental music is not just, I'm not just saying that in the way that I like to say it, of ambiente is the Spanish word for environment, but also like the Japanese Hiroshi-san and the various other electronic musicians of the 80s in Japan, or 70s and 80s in Japan, that made their own sort of take on ambient, more in line with Eric Satie's furniture music, which was coined in the late 1800s as a music for live musicians to be played throughout a house. So go to the parlor, the salon, for the DIY symphonic or chamber music work, but you're not hearing it on a stage or in an area, but rather throughout a space. And you are to go about your day, socialize at this thing, not necessarily pay direct attention to the music itself. Though people obviously did, because it was good music written by Eric Satie. Much to Eric Satie's chagrin, he was like, stop paying attention to this. The point is for you to do other things while listening to this. So environmental music of Japan sort of takes on some of that, in which it's meant to be very much music for a specific space, in which it's meant to inhabit, in stereo at least, the emulation of this space. And oftentimes it goes beyond the more typical new age and ambient sort of signifiers of, like, big floaty padded chords with lots of delay and much more noticeably musical materials, such as rhythmic arpeggios and things like that, but taking on a much more slower pace, patient, and to the point of emulating this, like we talked about, Karim, this uncanny valley where it's there are elements that are meant to sound like field recordings, but they don't. They aren't field recordings. Something about this just doesn't feel real, like a real environment. Like, it's speculative in a virtual sonic sense is what you're doing here, by utilizing the samples that you're utilizing. Like, you have as this low rumble the fragments of an 808 kick, just the end tail of that pitched down and stretched out, and you're performing it all via the Octatrack too, which I think is lovely. That this is all live electronic music, which is, I think, makes this project of wet music of yours really strong. This piece alone, like, we could make a half hour out of this for the sake of performance as well. This doesn't necessarily need to be strictly recorded. This, by following this shape of production in which you are, stretching small materials that were once originally very musical materials into something seemingly more environmental, or seemingly deconstructed past the point of understanding, like, the rhythmic or tonal qualities of some of these samples, which has a lot to do with not only stretching the sound, but also, like, a very slow tempo to the Octatrack sequencer itself. But if you were, Karim, to make a set list of just samples, like, you have, like, a set list of 10 sounds that you are to apply this practice to, maybe 3 at a time, slowly shifting through up and through the end of all 10, you'd have a 45-minute set right there, falling in this into this sound specifically. You could call it wet music, call it whatever you want, but I mean, like, damn, like, this is motivating me to tell you to hone in on this world specifically as a performance project, because I also think it's unique to see this in the concert, where it's just like, they're so clean, just like the Octatrack on stage, and to be, like, standing over it like the engineer manning the ship, not necessarily, like, constantly changing things, but to very patiently work your way through a series of sounds using a powerful piece of sequencer hardware that normally is used for dance music, or at least much more noticeably rhythmic music, you know? This excites me as a listener, and especially as something that I could see live through a real sound system while seeing you on stage, sat at a folding table, a small coffee table, a small little card table on stage with just the Octatrack, just hovering over it and very slowly making these changes over the course of a half hour. I think you got gold right there. That's the world that I wish to inhabit in a concert with that. Bar table even. Sure, do it at the bar. Serve me a drink. Serve bar while playing this music. You wrote, I've done pieces where it's the same sample 6 times and I'm just shifting their respective filter positions, so I'm very down. Yeah, no, I mean, like, this is inherently patient and repetitive. And like we talked about before, privately, you know, the use cases of having samples of different lengths, they might all start at one point, but then they're going to start phasing in this glacial tempo, but still sequences of meter phasing occurring where you could have the same 3 samples of different lengths playing and they aren't going to repeat themselves all lined up. After that one, it's going to take a while for it to ever feel like we've really truly hit the loop point, you know? So it's really, the world is your oyster as far as turning this into a live project as much as that is a recording project. And I think that, you know, with the encouragement of everyone here, it would be really great for 2026 to also be your year of gigging out. Starting with something like this, man. I mean, like, it's not rocket science, and you have a good ear and good selection skills when it comes to like the raw sounds that you're using for your samples. So really think it's a good starting off point of performing this sort of work, not just recording it, because it's like we could get some really good live jams out of this, but this is the type of thing that deserves to be heard through a full range system with subwoofers in like a cloud of fog, you know? Give us that. I think that would be really fucking nice. The show that I played in The Hague last month, there was 2 fog machines. A superfluous amount, even for my dumbass set. Very silly. Not necessary for my music. I think it's necessary for yours. I mean, the air needs to be wet in order to hear wet music, you know? It's just comes with the territory, you know? Speaking of samples, to wrap us out, forgot to mention we have our sample packing as social practice workshop coming up in less than 2 weeks now. Open to people both in New York and doing it fully remotely, where we go through this process of creative sampling and sample hunting as our first lecture, talking about the history of that, and then getting into in person 2 weeks after that, meeting up at a studio in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, bringing sound objects, microphones, whatever we want to create a sample pack as a group that we then shape and mold and post for ourselves to then create an original work utilizing our own samples that we made as a group. It's a beautiful exhibition of what we made. That's what we call it in social practice, art practice. The expression "what we made," you know. Sometimes the sample pack in and of itself is the art form, you know. So this is a 3-part workshop starting in 2 weeks, going on to the 14th of February, Saturday the 14th, Saturday the 28th, and then Saturday the 14th of March. 3 parts. Highly recommend y'all go sign up for that shit. Posted about that on the Patreon, on the Discord, on my Instagram. You already know. Sign up for it. Remember to take part in the monthly project separate from that on our Discord for Rave at Chacon at the end of the month. This has been a lovely set of tracks this evening. Very grateful to have y'all. Always invigorating. You know, always motivating. Haven't been practicing since I got back from the Netherlands, but I'm going this Friday back to the stew to lay down at least some rehearsals but y'all motivate me, you really do. Keep doing what you do wherever you are in the world. Really lovely stuff. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week. And I will see ya next Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern, for the Patreon group, next edition of the Patreon Group Critique. Have a wonderful evening. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to another edition of Group Critique Fight Club with me, Max Alper, aka Parrotsky. You can sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Parrotsky to get access to our Sunday Zoom school on top of the regular live public stream. Public stream takes place every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. All are welcome. And you are listening to the track Atop Alpdog Mountain, Ja Plays Pokemon Go by me.